And we are back. Welcome to the Game Week 21 predictions video after what was a very frustrating pair of midweek fixtures for myself, with Manchester United drawing against Palace and then Man City coming back to beat Tottenham, meaning that United's title chances have been dented rather significantly. However, we look ahead to Game Week 21, where once again it is an incredibly pivotal weekend at basically all ends of the table. You've got massive fixtures affecting the title race, massive fixtures affecting the relegation battle, and even some fixtures in the middle affecting the race for the European places. So it's going to be an interesting one. Let's see what I am going for. And we start off with Liverpool against Chelsea in the early kickoff on Saturday. And it's a tough one to call this. Liverpool finally found some sort of resilience in their FA Cup replay against Wolves, but I'll be honest, I thought Wolves were terrible, and I think the changes they made mattered in that regard. Chelsea, on the other hand, of course, are not playing very well themselves. They were able to scrape a narrow win their first game last time out, and they've still got Felix suspended. They've spent 100 million on a player that's not even made 50 appearances at club level in Mudryk. They've now spent another 30 million on Madueke, a young English player from PSV, and I hope for his sake he has a good time at Chelsea, but I think that's a poor move from him. So it's a really weird one to call. It's hard to really place how well these two teams are playing at the moment, so I'm just going to be a little bit boring, if I'm honest. I'm just going to go for a 2-1 win for Liverpool. I think all results are possible in this one. It just depends who turns up on the day. And I think there's a little bit of momentum just on the side of Liverpool after that FA Cup replay the other day. So I'm going to give it to Liverpool in that one. The first of the 3 o'clocks sees Bournemouth taking on Nottingham Forest. A game that Bournemouth simply have to win, given the form that they're in. And a game that I think Nottingham Forest just have to not lose. Obviously, Forest, as you would expect, have spent even more money on even more signings over the last few days. Whether any of them will feature in this game remains to be seen. I don't think Bournemouth have it in them right now. I think they're properly in a rut. This could be the perfect opportunity to turn their season back around, but I just don't think they're ready for it just yet. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in that one. Speaking of teams not ready to turn it round just yet, we move on to Leicester and Brighton. And if you look at current form, there's just only one result here. So I'm going to go for 3-0 to Brighton. I just think they're playing such good football right now. The players are flowing. They've sold Leandro Trossard to Arsenal, but I'm not being funny. He wasn't getting in the team anymore anyway. And I like Trossard. I think it's a great signing for Arsenal. More on that when we get to that game. But I think right now Brighton are just flowing. Everything's going right for them. And for Leicester, everything is just going wrong for them right now. So I have to go with what I think is the most likely scenario in this match, and that is a comfortable win for Brighton. On to the next one, and it is rejuvenated Southampton under Nathan Jones taking on rejuvenated Aston Villa under Unai Emery. And it looks like Villa are letting Danny Ings go to West Ham, which is an interesting one. Pretty much only leaves Watkins as their recognised striking options. I know the likes of Bailey can go in up front if necessary as well, but I think that's a bit of a risk from Aston Villa to let Danny Ings go if that is going to go through. But I have to go with what I've seen over the last couple of weeks, and I've been really impressed with Southampton. I especially like the decision to move James Ward-Prowse into a more attacking role where he can be taking shots at goal as well as being in the critical part of the build-up play. So I'm going to give Southampton the win in this one. I'm going to go for 3-1. I think Aston Villa were very lucky to get the win against Leeds last time out. So I think if Southampton can play to the level they've shown in the last couple of games, it will be enough to get the win in this one. On to a massive game in the race for relegation. It's just, well, a battle for relegation. You wouldn't really call it a race, would you? The race for survival, we'll call it. It's West Ham and Everton, with two teams with where I think manager jobs could be on the line. I know the Everton fans are sticking with Frank Lampard, but the board might just decide to pull the trigger if this game doesn't go very well. And of course, David Moyes under humongous pressure from the West Ham fans and the board to start picking up results. They, of course, as we've just said, have tried to bring in Danny Ings in the last couple of days. Whether or not that deal gets through today, meaning he can play in this game tomorrow, obviously right now remains to be seen, but they obviously have striking options available to them as well. I'm going to go for West Ham. I think you have to really look at this fixture and say West Ham are the better team here. Everton have been absolutely all over the place in the last few weeks, getting beaten comfortably at home and away, with the exception of the Man City draw, which still is a ridiculous result, but fair play to them for that. I still think West Ham have to get the win in this one, and I'm backing them to do so with a 2-0 win. Next up is Crystal Palace and Newcastle, and again, this appears like a difficult fixture to call, especially given the fact that Crystal Palace have just drawn at home to Manchester United, but I didn't think Crystal Palace had it in them to score against Manchester United. It took a wonder free kick from Elise to get that goal, and Newcastle obviously have the best defensive record in the league this season, so I'm not going to give Crystal Palace a goal. I don't think anyone's going to be too surprised for me to say that, and then it's just about going the other way. And as I spoke about in my reactions the other night, Manchester United were poor. They didn't deserve to score more than the one goal they did score, and if Newcastle play at the level they've shown over the last few weeks, it will be a better performance than what Manchester United put in the other day. So you'd expect Newcastle to go on and get one, maybe 2 goals, which is what I'm going to go for in a 2-0 win to Newcastle. I believe we then move straight on to Sunday. I think there are 3 games on Sunday, and we start with Leeds and Brentford. A game which, on paper, is now quite tough to call because Brentford have been playing very, very well over the recent fixtures, but I also think Leeds have as well. They've just not quite picked up the results to back up the performances. We spoke earlier about how I thought they were very unlucky not to get anything against Aston Villa. I thought they were the better team in that game and somehow still managed to lose it. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt in this one. I have a history of backing Brentford to lose, as you all know, so I'm going to do so again, and I'm going to go for 3-2 to Leeds. I think it's going to be a very interesting game. I think you can see a lot of goals at both ends, and I'm very excited to see what happens in that one. So I'm going to go for Leeds 3-2, but again, I think all 3 results possible in this one. Next up is Man City taking on Wolves, and again, last couple of fixtures would suggest that Man City haven't been at their best, but they showed lots of resilience last night, going 2-0 down to Spurs, turning it round, getting a 4-2 win, scoring 4 goals in a game for the first time in the league for a very long while by Manchester City standards. They come up against a Wolves side that are still rebuilding under Lopetegui. They obviously lost 1-0 to Liverpool in the FA Cup replay the other day. So I think Man City are going to take this one. I'm going to go for a 4-1 win, which might sound a little bit too harsh, but I think Man City found their mojo again last night, and I just think they can carry that into this game and get the result. Oh, excuse me. Now, for the big game, Arsenal and Manchester United. Arsenal, who have only lost 1 game in the Premier League so far this season, that game being against Manchester United. Manchester United, off the back of a humiliating draw, sounds weird to say a humiliating draw, but it was a humiliating draw, and the loss of Casemiro for this fixture. So all the pressure has kind of been lifted a little bit on Arsenal, it would seem, and obviously Manchester United now have to win this game if they're going to stay in the title race. So Arsenal on form coming out of the North London derby, Manchester United off form coming out of the Crystal Palace draw. I'm going to go for 3-0 to Manchester United. And here's why. I said the other night, Arsenal are completely terrified of this fixture, and I'm convinced that's the fact. Certainly the fans are. All the fans on social media yesterday saying we'll take a draw from this game. You're like 9 points clear at the top of the league near, and well, maybe not 9 points, but you're several points clear at the top of the league, especially over Manchester United. And you have a game in hand. But you'll take a draw? If you're serious title contenders, if the Arsenal fans truly believe they were genuine title contenders, they would think they are going to win this game, but they don't. Arsenal fans don't think they're winning this game. Arsenal fans are terrified of Manchester United. Manchester United have already beaten Arsenal this season without Casemiro. And they don't have Gabriel Jesus. I'm not scared of Arsenal, and I'm more than happy for all of these things that I say right now to come back and bite me, but I'm not scared of Arsenal one bit. I don't think they have any genuine threat to our defence. I can't really see Odegaard. I can't get my words out. If we play Fred on Odegaard like we played Fred on De Bruyne, Odegaard's completely nullified, and I'm not particularly worried about Granit Xhaka no matter who else we put in the midfield. We might not even put anyone else in midfield. It might just be Fred and Eriksen. I'm not too fussed about that. I don't see Saka doing enough against whether it's Shaw or Malacia. Malacia was fantastic against Mahrez, and if you can deal with Mahrez, you can probably about near enough deal with Bukayo Saka. Same for Luke Shaw if he goes to left back and we keep Martinez at centre back. I can't see Nketiah causing any problems to Martinez, Shaw, or Varane, or even Maguire or Lindelof, whoever goes at that. And Martinelli against Wan-Bissaka is not even a fair contest, in my opinion. Wan-Bissaka wins that battle easily. Like I said, I'm happy to eat my words if this all goes terribly wrong. So I don't really see Arsenal scoring. It then comes down to what we've got to offer the other way. I don't think Arsenal have been significantly tested at all this season. Tottenham were awful last week, and I don't think any Arsenal fan can say otherwise. Tottenham were awful, and they still forced Ramsdale into 7 saves. We're a better team than Tottenham. Unless we play like we did against Crystal Palace, which is my only concern. If we play like we did against Man City, we'll create more chances than Tottenham did last week. I don't see how Ben White deals with Rashford. He's still a centre-back playing at right-back, and Rashford is far too quick and far too skillful for him, in my opinion. So, it all comes down to who scores the first goal, in my opinion. The first goal in this game will decide it, because like I said, the fans are terrified. Arsenal fans are absolutely terrified that everything they've built up so far this season is going to come crumbling down. If Arsenal get the first goal, Man United are in massive trouble, because the crowd will then be up to the absolute maximum, and it's probably us that will end up caving in. If Man United get the first goal in this game, the Emirates will go silent. Because all of those fears and doubts that the Arsenal fans have in this team right now will come to the forefront. And I just think they'll crumble. I think they'll panic. I think the team will fall apart. Just like they did at Old Trafford when we started putting the goals in. I don't think this team is quite there yet. Like I said, I'm not scared of this Arsenal team one bit. So I'm going to go for the bold prediction that Man United get the first goal in this fixture and Arsenal fall apart and we pick them off and we win this game fairly comfortably in the end. As of always, let me know what you think of that decision, because like I said, I think this fixture can go either way. And I think all the pressure is on Arsenal, because after that Crystal Palace game, Man United go in as the massive underdogs to this game now. And I think that just puts even more pressure on Arsenal to perform. So we'll see what happens. I'm going 3-0 Manchester United. I'm sure that will divide opinions in the comments. But we do have one more game. It is the Monday Night Football. I'm just going to get it over and done with straight away. I'm going 2-1 to Fulham. Tottenham look absolutely all over the place at the moment. They were shocking against Arsenal. They got 2 relatively lucky goals last night and then did an absolute vintage Tottenham and got blown away in the second half by Man City. They're all over the place. Fulham are playing really well. I think Fulham beat Tottenham 2-1 in the Monday Night Football. Like I say, let me know down in the comments what you think of all of those predictions. Drop a like if you do enjoy this series. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for Fantasy Football.